All right, so on Friday, we evaluated using synthetic division, which means that we looked at problems and we evaluated them in a way such that we use synthetic to help us solve. Today, what we're going to do is use synthetic to help us see if it is a factor. So a new vocab word is depressed. A depressed polynomial has a degree that is one less than the original. This occurs when you divide a polynomial by one of its binomial factors. So we started to see depressed polynomials when we did long and synthetic division earlier in the chapter. The factor theorem says that if you take a binomial x minus r and you find p of r to equal 0, then x minus r is a factor. Okay, so example number 1. Determine whether x minus 2 is a factor of the given. If it is, find the remaining factors. So we're going to take the 2, put it in our box. We are then going to write out the coefficients of the terms. Bring down the 1. Multiply, add, multiply, add. When you get a remainder of 0, that means that x minus 2 is a factor. The 1, the negative 5, and the negative 6 become the coefficients of the new equation. And now what we want to do is factor that equation completely. So this one's a quadratic. At this point, we can factor the quadratic. So we'll say x and x, and then it's a negative, so that means we have one negative and one positive. And then we need the factors to add to negative 5 and multiply to 6. So that's negative 6 and positive 1. So the x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4x plus 12 in completely factored form is x minus 6, x plus 2, x plus 1, x minus 2. Okay, determine whether x plus 2 is a factor of the given, then find the remaining factors. So if x plus 2 is what we have, then we take the opposite of the factor. So that's negative 2. Write out our coefficients. bring down the first term. We get a 0 at the end, so that tells me that x plus 2 is a factor. And now you need two numbers that multiply to negative 24, but add to negative 10. So if you have a negative on top and a negative on bottom, that means one number is negative and one number is positive. And our numbers are going to be 12 and 2. Now remember, the 12 and 2 replace the 10 since we have an a value of 3. Take out your GCF. And there is your factored form of 3x cubed minus 4x squared minus 28x minus 16. Let's look at another one. Okay, we have determined whether x equals 1 or x equals negative 1 is a factor of this function. So we'll start with the positive 1. We'll write down our coefficients. Okay, and then the minute we see that that final number is not a 0, that tells me that x, and in this case since it's equal to 1, as a factor, that's x minus 1, is not a factor. Let's check on negative 1. So this time we'll put a negative 1 in our box. Our coefficients remain the same. There should be a negative right there, sorry. So this time when you have negative 11 and 11, you get 0, meaning that x plus 1 is a factor. And then we want to factor it completely. So it's like x plus 1, x squared minus 10x minus 11. And then we're going to check and say, okay, are there any factors of negative 11 that give me negative 10? knowing one has to be negative and one has to be positive. And in this case, negative 11 and positive 1. Since there's no value on the x squared, I can put those directly in to my factored form. Bless you. Okay, so then for homework, what I want to do is try the remaining problems in that homework assignment on factoring. So we previously did, there's my 8 to 16. Now you are finishing and doing 17 to 26, and there is a drop box out there for you for tomorrow. Yes?
The last lesson is on YouTube, right?
Yes. Yes, everything's recorded and posted for you. If you can't find it, just let me know. I can always send you a direct link too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.